Click there. Yes, I do want to start streaming. I am live. Welcome to this video. Bob the Canadian here, Learn English with Bob the Canadian. In this video today, we're going to take a look at phrasal verbs that you can use around the house. Phrasal verbs that you can use at home. Last week, someone made a comment that I was speaking a little too quickly. So this week, I'll try to speak a little slower. So phrasal verbs to use around the home. Before we get started though, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. I know most people who are watching are already subscribers to my channel, but if you aren't, think about doing that. There's a red button down at the bottom. And also, if you haven't watched the video from this past Tuesday, if you scroll down on YouTube, I think if you scroll down, I think if you go to my channel, you'll be able to find a link to that, and I will post it in the description later. Today we're going to look at phrasal verbs to use around the house, phrasal verbs to use at home. I think this is Phrasal Friday number 5. I think this is the 5th one, so let's get started. I think I have about 16 phrasal verbs that you could use around the house. So when you first find a house or apartment and you are going to move there, we usually say that you move in. So you would say to someone, last week I moved in to a new apartment. Or you could also, if you're getting a new roommate, you could say, I have a new roommate moving in. So that would be when you first rent or buy a home, you move in. The opposite would be that you move out. So maybe you've sold your house and now you are moving out. So you are planning to leave. You would move out of your house. So move in is when you first start living somewhere, and move out is when you leave that apartment or that house. So I have 4 phrasal verbs to use around the house that use turn. So the first is turn on. So in English, we often say, turn on the television. You turn on the radio. So when you have something that you want it, if it's not on and you want it to be on, we turn it on. I think this is because a long time ago, everything had dials instead of buttons. So you would always turn the dial to turn something on. So turn on is to make something come alive, I guess, for lack of a better word. The opposite then is to turn off. So you can turn off the television. Before I go to bed, I turn off the television. Before I go to bed, I make sure that I turned off the stove or the oven because I don't want it running all night. So turn on is to start it. Turn off is to stop it. And then there's a couple more. Let's say you're already listening to the radio. Then you might be listening to the radio and it's not loud enough. You can't hear it. So you would turn up the radio. So you might say to your roommate or your spouse, hey, could you turn up the radio so I can hear it better? I just want to say hi to Demba, to Jean, to OK, thank you, Sophia, Meza, and Dawn. Thank you so much for watching. I see you guys over there on YouTube. You guys are awesome. I'm just going to stop for a minute and say hi to them. So real quick, I'm just going to say hello, everyone in the chat, so that they know I'm there. So turn up, opposite is to turn down. So maybe you have a roommate, someone who lives with you, and the music is just way too loud. You could say to them, hey, could you turn down your music? Could you turn down your television so that it's not as loud as it was? So turn up, turn down. When you live somewhere, you have stuff, you have things, and sometimes you want to get rid of things. You want to take them out of your house or apartment. So you might throw it out. So for instance, you might drink a can of soda or drink a can of pop, and when you're done, you would throw out the can. Hopefully you recycle it, but you would throw out the can. A similar phrasal verb is to throw away. So to throw away is to, just get rid of something by throwing it, usually into the garbage or recycling. So maybe you ate a candy bar or a chocolate bar, and you have the wrapper. So you would throw away the wrapper. So throw out and throw away are actually very, very similar. So to throw away is to get rid of something by putting it in the garbage. Now it can also mean that you're just throwing it on the ground, but I hope you're not doing that. I hope you're actually throwing it into the proper recycling bin or garbage can. The next one we have is having to still do with messes. So a lot of times you clean up your house. So let's say your house has lots of things laying on the floor and someone's coming over to visit. You would want to clean up your house. You would want to make sure that you put all of your clothes in the laundry. You would want to make sure that there's no books or other things laying around. So you would spend some time cleaning up your house. So you might clean up the kitchen, clean up the living room, clean up the bathroom to get ready to have guests. While you're doing that, you might get a cloth and you might make the cloth wet so that you can wipe up. So maybe you want to wipe up something that has spilled, or you want to wipe up some spots on your kitchen table. Probably a better example would be, let's say if a child spilled something, so they were drinking milk and they spilled it, you would get a cloth and you would wipe up the milk, or you would get a paper towel and you would wipe up the milk. So it means to clean up, usually a liquid or a stain or something like that, you would wipe it up. Continuing on our cleanup theme, you can also sweep up. So to sweep up is, let's say there's a bunch of things on the floor and you use a broom. I don't have a picture of a broom here, but a broom would be something that you would use to sweep the floor. So maybe there's a lot of stuff that's fallen on the floor and you want to, as you're cleaning up your house, you want to sweep up. Maybe something fell on the floor and shattered. Maybe something fell and broke, and you would want to sweep up all of the pieces. I should have brought a broom with me today. That would have been handy. Similar to sweeping up is to mop up. So you might mop up something on the floor. So a mop it's like a broom, but you make it wet. Search Google for mop and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So you might want to mop up something that's spilled on the floor. So let me check if I did all these. Yes, I did. Where am I now? Here we are. Maybe a friend of yours gave you a painting or a poster, and you might want to hang it up on the wall. So when you take something and you put it on the wall and you attach it to the wall, that would be hanging it up. So you might say to your friend, "Thank you for the gift of a painting. I will hang it up in my living room. I will hang it up in my office." Oftentimes, kids will buy posters of their favorite movies and they will hang up the poster in their bedroom. The opposite is to take down. So if you have something on the wall and you remove it from the wall, that would be to take it down from the wall. So hang up is to put it on the wall, take down is to take it off the wall. I think we had this one before, to take out. So let's say you cleaned up. Let's say you put a whole bunch of things in the garbage. Now you might take out the garbage. So you might take the garbage bag that's full of garbage and you take out the garbage to the road on garbage day, on the day that the garbage truck comes to pick up the garbage. And then I think this is the last one, is to put away. And I think we had this one a couple weeks ago when we looked at the phrasal verbs with put. When you come home with a whole bunch of groceries or a whole bunch of food, you put it away. You put away the food. So it means to place things into your cupboards in your kitchen. That would be to put away. Let me double check. I think we did everything. I'm going to just go through just to make sure. It looks like we did all of the ones that I had, phrasal verbs. I'm just going to spend a bit of time now over on YouTube. I'm just going to take some questions and answers in the chat. If you feel like you've got the full lesson and you're good to go, Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch this past Tuesday's video. I'm just going to start chatting over here. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my other computer. I'm just going to say, does anyone have any questions? Oh, I forgot a question mark. And I'm going to say hello again. And then I'm going to put a smiley face too. And watching. I'm so happy that you guys come and watch these live streams. It's really fun for me. I get pretty excited on Thursday nights. I'm not sure what time it is where you are. I know it's later in the day for most of you. Yeah, I get up in the morning, I come and I do the live stream, and it's super, super fun. So hang up. How about hang out? Oh yeah, so the question comes from Don, and he says hang up, but what about the phrasal verb hang out? So hang out is when, if a bunch of friends come over to your house, we describe that as they come over to hang out, which means they come to visit. Older people generally don't do this. Like I'm in my 40s, I don't hang out with my friends, but younger people a lot of times describe when they're with friends that they're hanging out with them, which just means that they're spending time with their friends. That's a great question, Dan. Thank you very much. Yeah, to hang out is to spend time with people you know. So you could say things like, last week I was hanging out with a bunch of friends and we went out for dinner. Or next week I don't have anything to do. I might go to my brother's and just hang out for the afternoon. So that's a good one. You're welcome. Hello, Olga. Hello, Yan. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you very much for coming to watch. We're just in a question and answer period, so if anyone has any questions, just put them in the chat on YouTube. That's where I'm taking questions right now. I have a few more minutes, so if people have questions. For those of you that are just joining us, we looked at phrasal verbs that you can use around the house or use around the home. So you might want to rewind and watch the first part of the video if you needed to. Just going to wait and see if there are any more questions. I'll tell you a little bit about my morning. So as you know, I'm Bob the Canadian. I live in Canada. While I was driving here this morning, I do this live stream at work. It started to snow. It stopped now, but we had the first snowfall, the first snow in this area. It melted, so it disappeared when it hit the ground. But just for about 5-10 minutes or so, it was the rain turned into snow. So it's cold enough in Canada right now for us to get snow. Once we have lots of snow, I'm going to try and do a live stream outside at some point so you can see how beautiful it is. And then I'm just going to look here at the chat again. It says, it's very useful. Thanks, Bob. That's from Jean. And then we have the question, I would suggest, could you list, excuse me, could you list all and let us copy and practice? I'll do that. I'll put it in the comments of the video. You'll need to give me a few minutes once the live stream is done. I'll make sure I'll put all of those into the comment section of the video. That's a really good idea. I'll put it either in the description or I'll put it in the comments so that you can go over and practice. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but that is a great suggestion. The suggestion that I list them and put them into the comments. You can hear I'm already starting to talk faster. I'm sorry about that, but in some ways I'm not sorry because at some point you're just going to have to get used to English speakers talking at their normal speed. I'm just going to answer a question here. Which city do you live in? I'm just going to tell, I live near Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And for those of you that have watched, I did a couple videos about the farm where my wife and my kids and I live. So I don't really live in a city. I live close to a few major cities. So I live close to Hamilton, Ontario, which is south. Oh, thanks, Vicky. That's great. Now I know your name. I live near Hamilton, Ontario, but I do live in Canada, we would describe it as I live in the middle of nowhere. That's kind of a funny phrase because no one lives nowhere. Everyone lives somewhere, but I live kind of in the middle of nowhere on a farm. So I just want to, yes, you speak too fast. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dan. Yes, I do speak too fast. I think because the lesson part of the live stream is done, then I naturally start to speak my normal speed again. So I have a question here from Sakis. He wants to know the difference between like versus as. That's a tricky one. It's hard to answer right now. So if I was to say, if I was jumping around like a rabbit, so that means I'm comparing myself to a rabbit. But if I was to use, so you can use the word like to compare yourself, right? You can say he was running like a rabbit. But if I wanted to describe, this is tricky. He was flying like a plane, but he was moving as fast as a plane. You know what? I'm going to have to research this a bit, just to get a better sense of how to explain it. This might be a better video for the future, the difference between like and as. So I'll add it to my list and we'll get to that. So, yes, I speak too fast. Can you see that? Yes, I could see that suggestion. That was great. Canada is a really nice place. I feel very lucky. I feel very lucky to live in Canada. Vicky says that she has studied in Vancouver. So Vancouver is way on the other side of Canada from where I am. I have been to Vancouver, I think 3 times, and it's a beautiful city. It stays nice and warm in the winter. Well, relatively warm. Sakis says, I don't speak too fast. If I was speaking with a British accent, you would notice the difference. Yes, I could see that. So, anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for everyone that was watching on Instagram, that was watching on YouTube. I'm just going to type, have a good day to everyone. I know for some of you, you might already be done work and it's the weekend. Here, I still have to work the whole day. It's still early morning. So thank you very much for watching this live stream and have a great day. Don't forget to go back and watch the video. And later this morning, I will add the phrasal verb list to the comments and the description. I'll just put it in both spots, so that should help you. Anyways, thank you very much. And I'll see you. New video coming out Tuesday. And just so you know, next Friday, there will be no live stream. I'm actually going to be in Toronto. I have a meeting in Toronto. So there will be no live stream next Friday, but there will be one. I'll start again the week after. So anyways, have a good day. It's great to do this. Just have to find the button to turn this off. There we go.